group and to discuss this case. We ask you to help us understand it better and to be able to know what is a good choice. Say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Jason, you have any spiritual thoughts for us?
Tomorrow's the Sabbath. Go to church and remember the Savior and feel the Spirit.
Amen.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then watch the Super Bowl that night. Don't tell your bishop.
So I have the questions pulled up. So number 3 says, vote as a group. Should Doug accept the turn offer? Yes or no? So what do you guys' vote?
I vote, when I did my pre-discussion thing, I voted that no, he should not.
Sorry, which question are you on?
Just number 3, under the case discussion.
Okay. Yeah, I would say no too.
That's what I said as well. So I think
it seemed like a low ball offer. I mean,
Yeah.
based on I mean, they didn't really get into a lot of specifics on valuation. It said it was kind of there's no magic way to back into that number, but it seemed, based on the interest they had from this other VC, it seemed like a pretty low offer. I don't know.
I agree. So it says, since none of us think he should accept the turn offer, come up with a reason why he should take the offer, even though we don't think that's a good idea.
So the reason, oh, go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
you can go.
He kept mentioning how he's not a risk taker. Wondering if that was his way of saying that he didn't like that part of it, and maybe he wanted to family. It might have been a good choice for them, but I didn't know if that was just because he'd never been through the process before.
I mean, I think that's probably the only reason why he would take the offer, but I still think it wasn't a good idea to take it. He had a patentable idea. So, I mean, that obviously says something. They were pretty vague on what it actually does, and there was a venture capitalist group that was interested in it. There was also a angel investor that was interested in it. So given that he had other interested parties, and this guy that had this Harvard engineer, Shields, this Harvard engineering background, was interested in it, it seemed like the idea merited more than just $2 million based on the interest that he was getting and the business concept. In that, it seemed like $2 million was really a pretty low offer. That was kind of the takeaway I had.
I think another good reason he should have taken it at least is, I know it talked a little bit about just security, how he was going to double his, I guess, worth overnight and just kind of be more financially set than he is right now. And I know that brought a lot of security for him and comfort knowing that that's a possibility and all he has to do is just accept it. So, I mean, it's just a get rich quick kind of deal. But I agree, Jason, that it's probably worth a lot more than just the $2 million cash and $2 million in stock.
Yeah, and he also had, he was gonna. I mean, to me, it just seemed like the better route was with the other guys. I mean, that was my takeaway.
What about you, Braden? So all of us voted that he should turn down the offer from Turn, but it says come up with a reason, though, why he should accept it, even if you disagree that he should.
I didn't think that he should, because if from the beginning it was worth 50 cents a share, it said he had 4,166, or sorry, 4 million. You know, I forget how many shares he had, but he would come away with about 2 million if he, like, after the company started, if he just right away sold all his shares. So he'd come out with more than 2 million, but he would get 2 million in stock and 2 million in cash from the buyout. But eventually the company would be worth a lot more and he'd be able to get more out of it in the future. The rate of return would be greater. So I don't think he should sell it.
I also think he had a sense of loyalty to his angel investor to return the money to him and do right to him. And I know they were leaning on him to turn down the offer. So I think there was a sense of loyalty as well.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason that he didn't do it, really, because, like he said, he's not much of a gambler. And so the only reason he had was out of that sense of loyalty.
Okay. Any other comments?
I think we can skip
Sarah,
number 5
anything
because none of us thought he should take the offer. So 6, how much money will Doug receive? As a group realize that it is likely that nobody had a fully correct answer to the question. Here are some hints. So since half of the buyout offer is cash, you need to treat it as cash sale and give the investors 2 times investment in cash. Since half of the buyout is in preferred stock, you need to treat that portion of the buyout as stock and give investors 25% of the proceeds in the preferred shares. And Doug's payout is whatever is left after paying back his investors, both in the cash and stock.
So it's like 1.4 million cash, right?
Yeah.
That would go to him.
Mhm.
And then
I don't get why they get 25% of the preferred stock, though. Do you guys understand that?
Do I understand? What was the question? Why they would get preferred stock or why?
Yeah, so why do they get their 2 times their investment return, but then they also get to split 25% of the preferred stock that Doug gets from Turn?
it was in the original agreement.
Yeah, I think that was part of the agreement that was set.
Oh, if
mean,
they
the
sold, if
value-
he sold it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
I mean, the value of, you guys know what preferred stock is, right? Preferred is just, they get paid a dividend over the common stockholders. I think it was just a way it was just to sweeten the deal to give an advantage over common stockholders. They become preferred stockholders. That's what I understood it to be.
Yeah, it was just in that paragraph where they went through all the details of the angel investors' initial buy-in.
there's 25, so he'd be left with 1.5 million of preferred stock after that, plus his 1.4 million in cash. So 2.9 million would be the ending if he did take the deal.
Yeah, and I think beyond that, I mean, he'd also be left with I mean, he would get to run that. You're talking about if he took the deal with the VC, he would be left with ownership of his company, and he'd be left with the ability to. Are we talking about the deal with Turn or the other one?
I think with Turn.
Yeah, Turn.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But,
I was thinking of the other one.
Yeah, I guess it would all be if he's in it for the short term or the long term. And the short term only benefits right now. I don't think it would benefit him in the future.
yeah.
It's really not benefiting anybody else either.
Yeah.
His other engineers and his angel investor. There's really nobody else that it benefits. Go ahead.
But I guess another positive thing that if he did accept Turn's offer, that he has the ability. I mean, if it is really that great of a product and it's going to be kind of a game changer for Turn as a company, I mean, that stock could go up quite a bit. I mean, if they're going to be an industry leader and be able to fix all the problems that everyone else is having, I mean, it's not like it's just a one-time payout of stock, but he gets to hold it and can, I guess, keep it for the long run and see the growth in that.
Yeah. Did they address could they dilute his shares though?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's something to consider. I think you could use that turn offer as leverage when he negotiates with Shields. I mean, he has an offer in hand, so now he could go to the other guy and he has a little bit of leverage at bargaining.
So speaking about Shields, the next question is about him. It says, discuss as a group, how much does Shields deserve? Why does Washing want Doug to reject the turn offer? Won't Washing get a pretty good return on his investment? Why hold out for more? How much does Washing give up if Doug gives Shield 50% of the equity? So with that first question, how much does Shields deserve? I mean, I feel like 50% of equity and being co-founder is quite a lot, just because of becoming CEO. But then at the same time, I could see it as reasonable because he's going to do a lot for the company. And I mean, he's still going to put forth ideas and stuff just because it still is in the being created and getting ready to run. And so, I mean, I don't know if I'd say 50% equity, but probably somewhere close to that is how much I think he deserves.
After all the other investments come in, I think he would end up coming out with 25%. I don't know.
Is that after the dilution and stuff of other investments?
Which is why he wanted 50%.
He wanted it so high.
But that's, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I agree. I think that his 25% share seems too small, or not 25, but giving Shields 50% seemed too high. It was kind of like I thought of like the movie The Social Network with Zuckerberg and Facebook, and Zuckerberg created this idea. Someone comes along and makes it a successful company. That doesn't mean that you should become 50% owner. You should be well compensated, but I think the ideal was Zuckerberg's in this case. And I would just say in this case, I mean, someone should be compensated with stock and or pay, for a CEO role, but I don't think they deserve 50% as though they were co-founder, because they didn't find the idea. They didn't create the idea. They didn't get it patented. They didn't get an angel investor. They weren't there on the ground floor. That's my feeling. So some number less than 50%.
I thought he was bringing a lot to the table. He's been through the process before. I thought he could bring a lot of the experience, and he can kind of guide Kosman through the whole thing. Up a lot to join them.
So you would be okay with 50%?
If not 50, just a little bit under. But I think to balance out what he was giving up, to come over, I can see why he was asking for so much.
Yeah, I do as well, especially because Kosman, he kind of was like taking the approach after like Shields came on that he was just going to take care of like day-to-day stuff. He didn't really want to do any of the CEO stuff. So I think Shields was like also, I agree, he's bringing people and doing most of the work, like Andrew said earlier. And so I think 50%, and after it dilutes down to 25%, I think that's perfectly fair for him. And and I
think Kosman, him holding the patent, I think there's ways that he could have benefited from that anyway, outside of the shares. I think they probably would have taken care of that on the side because it is his patent.
The deal with Turn is interesting because I think it gives Shields no leverage. Now, he could always say, I don't agree with the equity split with Shields, and then he could just take the deal with Turn, and then Shields is left out in the cold, as I understand it. So Shields doesn't come to the table with any leverage. I know he wants 50%, but if he wants to be a part of the team, I think he just kind of has to – I think he has to play ball at whatever – I mean, you know – Cosman could just say, yeah, no thanks, and then move on and just take the deal with Turn, and then they part ways. So I think Shields kind of has to come down a little off of his 50% figure.
Yeah, it does give him leverage so that he could do that. I agree.
So I would be okay with some number up to 50%, whether that's 45 or something like that. I mean, I would be okay with that.
So the next question says, why does Washing want Doug to reject the Turn offer? And I think a good reason is because Washing sees the potential that they have if they keep it themselves and the return on his investment. Just because if Doug sells it, then he just gets that one-time payment of $200,000 and then a portion of the shares. But if they keep it, then I mean he's able to hold out to get his return until their company's big and worth more.
I think Washington gets to buy more shares if they go with this other deal, don't they? Doesn't he? That was part of the arrangement that he had with Washington, was that he gets to buy more shares at a discount.
Oh yeah, like a 25% discount, I think it was.
Right. So if there's more shares, if there's more funding, you know, if they go this venture capitalist route, I think that there's a chance where he can become, he can buy additional shares.
Yeah, and I think by nature, people that invest in startups are more willing to take the risk too. And I think if Kosman was more of a risk taker, I don't know if he would have even considered that offer. So I think other guys, yeah, see the potential and to go for it.
Okay. Anything else?
Just the second part of that question, I don't really get what it's asking. So it says, oh, well, okay. So it says, how much does Washington give up if Doug Shields 50%, or if Doug gives Shields 50% of equity? Have you guys crunched those numbers or know the answer to that?
I haven't.
Wait, which part of the
So it's question 7, but then it's the last question of that question.
Washington give up if Doug gives Shields?
I think this goes back to if Shields is 50% owner and Kosman's 50% owner, then Washington gets note to buy. He doesn't get to purchase any additional shares unless they both dilute their own position in the company.
Wait,
right? Is that really what they're driving home?
well, how much did Washington invest?
Just 100,000. I think he was one of the first ones.
But it was
Yeah.
it was convertible debt, which could be purchased as additional shares. But I think if they make them 50-50, if they go in 50-50, I don't think there's an opportunity for Washington to get shares.
So down in the exhibit 4, it says conversion of C note. It says 156,667 shares. So is that how many shares he has after the discount?
That's how much they invested, because they have the option to go from 100,000 up to let's see, I'm reading it real quick. They could increase their initial investment from that 100,000 to the 156. So that's just money at this point. That's not actual shares.
Okay. So,
Yep.
it's not even know how much of the like percent ownership Washing would give up. Because hold on a couple seconds.
Yeah, I never found anything that says how much they're going to start the shares at, besides that 50 cents. The numbers on that.
That's what I've been going.
At that point, they have to dilute those shares.
But I honestly don't think that Washing I don't think it would affect him that much anyways. It's just because his investment isn't that big compared to the sequel venture firm and stuff. I think it would mostly affect the bigger people who invested more money.
Yeah. I found the answer. Sorry, I was on mute. I found the answer. It says here that angel investors had the option of converting their loans into Series A shares at 25% discount to a new share price set by the Series A investors. So the keyword that I understood it is they had the option to convert their shares. So Washing doesn't have any shares of the company. His is just it's a convertible note. It's just a debt right now. So there's not an equity position that he holds. So the question being, what would be the, how much equity does he give up? He doesn't have any equity to give up. I think he would be giving up future equity in the fact that he would be giving up a chance maybe to purchase additional shares because Shields would be 50% owner. That's the way I understood it.
Okay, so according to my little table here, if Shields were to get his 50% ownership with 4,166,000 shares of stock, and then Washing were to convert his note, he would come away with 417,000 shares, and he would own about 3% of the company.
3?
Yeah, 3%.
Okay.
And so if you were to take Shield's share, if you were to only give him 25% ownership, you just got shares.
That's my friend.
You would Washing would still own the same number of shares, but I think his ownership would go up to 4%. It wouldn't be affected that much.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the other hand, let's see, Sequel Ventures, their percent of the ownership goes up 5% if they only give Shields 20. All of the other ones are affected a lot, except for the investors in Washing, pretty much. I don't think it would affect him that much.
Okay. So question 8, can Doug use the turn offer to his advantage if he rejects it? I would say he can use it to his advantage while it's still on the table, right? I guess when it's off the table, then that's, the advantage is in the fact that he has another offer. So, yeah, I think he could use it to his advantage. I think we kind of agree on that, right?
Yeah, I think his advantage would be to use that when they're evaluating the company.
Right. Or when he's doing this equity split with Shields, he has another offer in hand, so that doesn't tie him to Shields at all.
I could also see it going the other way, though, because I think Doug understands that that offer might be a little bit low. And so if he tries to counter Shields or anyone else trying to get more, and he's saying, well, this company's offering me $4 million essentially, they can say, okay, yeah, but you're not, like, we have the opportunity to make you a lot more. And so they could listen, but I think they all understand that they have a better opportunity to get more money if they keep it themselves. But it's just kind of more of a security thing. So it just depends on what Doug wants to do, what route he wants to take is, I think, the big determining factor, and not necessarily the offer. Because if Doug wants to keep the company, then the offer is not really worth, I guess, debating or leveraging, just because I feel like it's pretty low and they all understand the potential that they have if they keep it.
I think I don't know, because they were considering, even after, like, when Kosman started thinking about taking that offer, I think it was Shields, I forget who it was, that they decided, like, well, maybe we should give him, like, a little bit, like, more. I think they're going to give him some sort of, like, cash. I don't know what it was. They're giving him money, though. They were thinking about it. I don't know if you guys remembered that part.
Yeah, I mean, Washington said that the original, kind of in that space, originally CEOs get like 10%, and he wanted 50. I think that's two sides that are posturing for their opening round. I think that 10% maybe seems too low for the value that Shields is going to bring. Shields may have to come off that 50% number, and I think now that an offer from Turn is on the table, and Kosman could take the Turn offer, and Shields would just be left going back to what he was doing, and he has to walk away from the deal altogether. I think that the Turn offer gives Kosman a little bit of leverage now, where he could go to Shields and say, hey, look, I'm not doing 50, I'll do some other number, and if that's not okay for you, I'll just take the Turn offer. And he just walks away, and Shields just has to, not that he's going to go unemployed, but he basically part ways.
Yeah. So what it says is, he was saying that he tried, like, with the decision, he tried to kind of be neutral as he was, like, advising him, because he felt like he was kind of an advisor. And then he said, after Doug started receiving the calls from Turn, he said, we did start to think about how we might be able to get Doug some cash as part of the financing. And so they're already thinking about, like, more. And so I think he could easily use that, the Turn sale, as leverage to get a little bit more. Like, I feel like the risk of, like, the loss of opportunity doesn't lie as much on Kosman as it does the other investors, because they all want a huge rate of return. Like, that's what they're in it for. And if he sells to Turn, I don't think their return will be as big. So I think he could use it as leverage.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, any other comments on 8?
No.
So I don't know if you guys pulled up the B case yet, but it looks like 4 paragraphs, so maybe we can just take turns, each of us read 1 paragraph.
Okay, I'll get started if that's okay.
Yeah.
It was December 2007, and Yieldex CEO Tom Shields was driving to the company's Boulder, Colorado office to meet with co-founder Doug Kosman. Since becoming CEO of Yieldex in October 2007, Shields commuted from the Bay Area to meet Kosman and the engineering team on a weekly basis. Kosman also sold Yieldex, or almost sold Yieldex for $4 million in September 2007, but after an agonizing internal debate, he decided to forgo the quick exit and hire Shields to pursue additional financing and grow the fledgling company. Shields and Kosman had been negotiating an equity split that was expected, or when the unexpected offer came in, and they were close to an agreement in which Shields had hoped to receive 50% of the pre-Series A common shares. Shields had pressed Cosman to turn down the offer, but when that came with a price to Shields, he ultimately agreed to take 40% of the common when Cosman held on to the remaining 60. Cosman then sold 20% of his common shares back to the company to take some cash. Both Shields and Cosman were diluted in the Series A round that closed several days after Shields joined the company. Sequel Venture Partners led the round with a $2 million investment, and they were joined by first-round capital and angel investors that converted their seed note into Series A shares and invested additional money. The pre-table money valuation Series A was $4.9 million. I'm going to keep going.
I can get the second one. Says, when Shields joined as CEO, Cosman became the company's chief technology officer, reporting to Shields. Cosman explained, I was not interested in leading a team of engineers on a day-to-day basis, but I wanted to be the technical leader of the company. Cosman had converted the 3 contractors to full-time employment and hired 2 more in the last few months, and both he and Shields thought they needed to be led by an experienced vice president of engineering. Shields met with several candidates for the VPE position during November, and he quickly realized that he and Cosman had different perspectives on the qualifications of the ideal candidate. Cosman preferred someone with deep technical expertise in internet advertising software, who would immediately understand how this technology related to systems already in use in the industry. In fact, he helped to promote one of the Yieldex employees who had been working with Cosman on the Yieldex solution over the last year, and he had previously been a team lead. Shields, however, preferred deep management experience with software development projects in small companies. He was comfortable hiring someone who had not worked in internet advertising as long as the individual had a track record of managing high productivity startup teams to achieve aggressive development and milestones.
I'll read the next one. Shields knew that the issue would come to a head this week. He had recently met a Boulder-based candidate, John Barr, who came highly recommended from sequel partner Tom Washing. Barr had a stock track record with multiple successful startups. He had been the CTO at his last 2 companies, but he was willing to join Yieldex as the VP, also reporting to Shields. Shields believed Barr was a good fit, and he was ready to hire him. But Cosman was troubled by Barr's unfamiliarity with several of the key components of the Yieldex solution. He wondered how Barr could manage a software platform that he didn't fully understand. Cosman was also concerned that Barr seemed to be questioning the skills and output of some of the employees that he had hired.
As Shields pulled up to the Yieldex offices, he thought about the implications of hiring Barr against Cosman's wishes. He was comforted when Washing's support of Barr, as he knew that Cosman respected Washing's perspective. Nevertheless, he wondered how Cosman and Barr would interact as the 2 leaders of the Boulder office. Also how it would work when the 5 engineers that Cosman had hired began to report to Barr. Shields knew that this group would have to work closely together in Boulder while he jump-started the sales and marketing efforts in the Bay Area. Cosman had architected the Yieldex software, and Barr would need his support to manage the team effectively. Shields respected Cosman's desire to keep looking at other needed to fill the position so he could refocus on his own efforts, and he was impressed with Barr's credentials.
Should Tom hire Barr? Yes or no? Allow those who said yes to go first and then explain. Okay.
So I guess I'll go. Yeah, I think hiring Barr would be a good choice. Well, are we going to discuss it right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Keep going.
So I guess my reasoning behind that is just because he has been a CTO in his last two companies. And so although he's not very familiar with the platform of Yieldex, I feel like he is knowledgeable about the whole engineering aspect of it and is probably a pretty smart dude and can probably pick it up fairly quickly. I mean, obviously there's going to be some layover and I guess transition to get him fully up to speed. But I think, like Shields says, he has a pretty good credentials, and I think it still fits both of their criteria. I mean, he has more of a managing side and has been there before, but he also is knowledgeable about the field of engineering and development type of thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that because Shields was all along has been really knowledgeable of the product as well. And it says Cosman doesn't think that guy doesn't fit the position because he doesn't know about it. But I feel like Shields like has a good sense of judgment when it comes to that, and like he thinks that he would be a good fit. However, I think just because like what's his name? Main dude doesn't like Barr, I think there'd probably be some conflict, but I feel like he's just I don't know.
Can you guys hear
Somewhere
me?
where, yeah. It said somewhere where Cosman, they kind of flipped and he answered to the other guy after everything went through. So step back and let the other guy make the decision. And you're never going to get the perfect candidate from the get-go. I don't think you have to be able to get something off your wish list.
One of the things I think is telling is, I mean, the guy's the CFO. He's allowed to hire his own people. That was part of the agreement. So if he finds the candidate's qualified, then he needs to hire him. The guy, the founder, Cosman, said, I don't want to manage people. I want to allow you to do, you know, the impression I got was that he intentionally left that responsibility up to the other guy. So, you know, if he feels comfortable with it and he's qualified for it, which it seems like he is, then I think it's a no-brainer.
So do you want to read case C?
Yeah, let's do that. Is yours a PowerPoint?
Yeah, it's loading.
Yeah.
Well, it's loading. Did anybody else get that email from another person in our class?
No.
Mm-mm.
So I got an email.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I got an email from a lady named Cynthia, and she said that Brother Nebuchadnezzar told her to talk to us, and she doesn't have a group.
Yeah, I emailed Brother Nebuchadnezzar because I didn't have a group, and that's how I ended up with you guys. And apparently he's Others are in the same situation.
Yeah. So I told her,
Okay.
I didn't see the email till this morning, but I told her that we'd be meeting this morning. But in the future, she'll probably meet with us.
Cool.
So I don't know if yours guys have pulled up yet, but it's really short, so I can just read it.
Okay.
It just says 6 months later, email from John Barr, the VP of Engineering, to Tom Shields, who's CEO. It says, or Tom says, Doug continues to be disruptive. His salary is $170,000. He holds the title of CTO, which I should have. His team wasn't functional and has been replaced. At the board meeting today, do the right thing for the company.
They're gonna fire Doug. You know what? That's what happens when you go public. You don't retain ownership, and you can be fired by your own company. And I've seen that happen actually from someone who founded a company and got fired by the board. So
Well, that's Steve Jobs, right? That's what happened to him.
what's that?
Yeah.
That's Steve Jobs. You went through that.
Steve Jobs, yeah, he was one. That's not who I was thinking, but that's, yeah, good example. He went public, he brought in other people, and they showed him the door.
So it says, the questions after it says, do the right things for the company. So what does that mean to you guys? Should Tom fire Doug? Does Yieldex need Kosman anymore? What value does Doug bring to the company now that they have his algorithm? And how could Doug have avoided getting into this situation? Do you want to change your minds about the buyout now?
They can fire him, but he still owns the shares. So the buyout, I don't think I would change that.
No. And as far as needing Kosman anymore or having him there because they have his algorithm now, and how could Doug avoid getting into the situation? I feel like when Barr was hired, I feel like there could have been two ways the company could have gone. Doug could have kind of been upset and kind of pushed away and not be very cooperative and kind of being disruptive like Barr is saying. Or he could have just kind of gotten on the same page as Shields, sucked it up, and then kind of made it work. And so I feel like Doug, if this is where they're at, I feel like Doug probably chose the first one and kind of pushed against it and was being rebellious, trying to go against each other type of thing. So I feel like if he could have just been, I don't know, more receptive to the idea, I feel like this situation probably wouldn't come up.
In one of my other classes, it's launching new ventures. And so, we had to come up with an idea and kind of create the whole company. And the comment the teacher keeps making is, your idea is great, but you have to let other people mold it and shape it. And you have to be willing to faults, I guess, kind of. And I would think that Doug probably had the same kind of problem. This is his creation, and he had an idea. Now he has to let all these other people come in. So yeah, I think he needs to be more to learn and grow with the company.
Yeah. Like the question kind of like points out, like in what it asks, that they kind of don't need Kosman anymore. Because like he's the one that like invented the product. Like he's the one that, like the algorithm, like he provided that and started the company, but now he's replaceable. And I don't think he was really in a place where he could, he had the right to, I guess, I don't know, like kind of push against Barr. I don't know.
Well, he'll still retain his shares, right? I mean, even if he's fired, he still retains his shares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know why down at the bottom, I keep getting this like I'm on this call twice. Do you guys see that too?
Yeah,
What is
Yeah.
why is it doing that?
I don't know, but I can mute one of your things.
Here, I'm gonna hang up. I can't see the other call, but somewhere I'm there, so I don't know.
I kind of like the auto tone sound. It was exciting.
You kept seeing that at the bottom, and you're like, "What the freak is he doing?" Okay, well,
All right. I think that's the end of our questions. So I did look up the case and or not the case, but the company, and they sold in 2015 for 100 million. So just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Good thing they held out and kept it.
Yeah. How do we want to split up the questions this week?
Did anybody else do like for the prep questions? Did anybody else do the spreadsheet stuff?
I haven't yet. Are you done with it?
Yeah, I can.
Sounds like-
I've got that done, so I can.
Okay. You just want me to take 1 and 2?
Yeah.
So you do 1 and 2, and then Braden, if you already did that, those cover
It's like 5 and 6, right?
5 and 6. So maybe I can do then 3 and 4, and then Jason's do 7, 8, 9.
okay.
Jason. Okay.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 7, 8, 9 then?
Yeah.
So what time do you guys need those by? Can I work on those in a couple hours, or do you guys need those?
Oh, yeah. Take your time. Oh, I don't know what works for you guys, but it's not due till 11.
Yeah, I have to run out for a little bit this morning, so.
Okay.
Just before 11, I guess.
Cool, and then we'll see each other on Wednesday?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. See ya.
See ya. Bye.